Welcome everybody to today's Governance and Audit Committee. Today is Monday the 2nd of June and welcome everyone to the meeting. First thing to say is welcome to Councillor Bill Smith, newly elected, appointed to this committee. Congratulations, if that's the word we're looking for.
Thank you very much. Andrew should be joining shortly. The other message is coming in online shortly.
And by way of apologies, Councillor Barry is about to join us online, and that would give us a full house of councillors. I are still carrying one vacancy, however, and I'll have conversations offline to see how that's going to be resolved. Of the officer cohort, we've received apologies from Sarah King and Joan Davis. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Any members have any issues to declare relevant to today's meeting? Frankly, I'd be surprised if they are, given the nature of the agenda today. But I look around the room and I see nobody, so excellent, that's good news. Agenda item 3 is the appointment of chair, and as the previous chair, I cannot lead this agenda item, so I'll hand to the current vice chair, Colin Prosser, to lead the item if I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I understand there is only one applicant for the role, which has to be performed by a lay member, which is Mr. Martin Veal. So if I could invite the committee by a show of hands to see whether they find that decision in order.
In case you can't see you in the room, that look pretty unanimous.
I'm going to guess that's duly carried.
Thank you, everyone. I'm not sure if it's. I'm happy for other people to step it up, but thank you for your vote of confidence anyway. Thank you much. Moving on swiftly to agenda item 4, the appointment of the vice chair. Again, this position can only be filled by a lay member, and my understanding is that Colin Prosser has indicated he is happy to continue to be the role of vice chair. I'll look around the room for other nominations. Okay, in that case, by show of hands, are we happy to appoint Colin Prosser? And again, I see unanimous verdict on that as well, so thank you much for that too. Agenda item 5 is the meat and drink of today's meeting, which is to receive the statement of accounts for 23-24, which, subject to approval, will then go to full council. So we have item 5, which is the statement of accounts, and we have item 6, which is the Audit Wales report as well. And we'll take those two kind of together as one. But firstly, I'll turn to Craig Flynn, our Section 151 officer, to talk us through paper agenda item 5. Craig.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations to you and both Colin Prosser and being Chair and Vice Chair for the ensuing year. The report being presented to the committee today is the final audited statement of accounts for the financial year ending 31st of March 2024, along with the annual governance statement. Following consideration by the committee today, the final statement of accounts for 23-24 will be presented to full council on the 11th of June 2025 for approval. Taking you through the report, paragraph 3 of the report provides the legislative framework for the preparation of the accounts, and under section 3.2, the provision for local authorities having to delay preparing and publishing the annual financial accounts. As the local authorities responsible financial officer, I duly authorised the unaudited statement of accounts on the 8th of November, and which was submitted to Audit Wales on the 13th of November. And members will recall that the draft statement of accounts were duly considered by this committee on the 9th of December 2024. Paragraph 4 of the report sets out the accounts have been prepared in accordance with international financial reporting standards, with paragraph 5 detailing this authority's share of jointly controlled operations, namely Llwchod Crematorium Joint Committee, Central South Consortium Joint Committee, Cardiff Capital Region City Deal Joint Committee. In paragraph 2 and paragraph 6 of the report, colleagues from Audit Wales are with us today and will take the committee through their findings from the audit and the content of the audit of accounts report in due course. Under paragraph 7, the revenue and capital outing for 23-24 is reported, and the committee will note the revenue surplus of 3.092 million for the respective year being transferred to the budget reserve. Paragraph 8 references the annual governance statement, and members will note that as part of the statement of accounts, the final AGS is contained with Appendix 1 and can be found on page 105 to 132 of the bundle. To support the governance arrangements within the Council, the Head of Regional Internal Audit Service annual assurance opinion is also included within the AGS. And for 23-24, the said opinion of the internal control environment, risk management and governance arrangements for the Council is that of reasonable insurance. Before I hand over to Alice and Deb from Audit Wales, I think it is appropriate to remind the committee of the staffing challenges experienced during the preparation of the financial statements and during the audit process. Just to provide members with some context, the respective service area experienced the departure of the Deputy Section 151 officer and both the group accountants prior to and during the closure of accounts. Over recent financial years, these officers played an integral role in the preparation of the financial statements, and the loss of corporate knowledge and experience cannot be understated. This was identified as a significant risk to the authority by Audit Wales back in July 2024. In addition to this, the local authority also saw the departure of the Section 151 officer and interim Section 151 arrangements put in place for the neighbouring authority between mid-July and November 2024. Committee will no doubt appreciate the scale of the challenges that the remaining and newly appointed officers within the team faced during this period. Therefore, I would like to place on record my thanks to Emily, Louise and the whole of the accountancy team for their professional, financial expertise, hard work, dedication and resilience shown during this time. Also, I wish to express my gratitude for the expertise and professionalism shown by colleagues from RCT during the interim arrangements, which afforded me the appropriate level of assurance required to sign the draft statement of accounts and submit to Audit Wales within a fortnight of me taking up the position of Section 151. Even through the loss of an experience, it is positive to note that Audit Wales are proposing to issue an unqualified audit opinion for the statement of accounts that are being put before you today. During the audit, we have amended for anything that we were required to amend by Audit Wales, and where we have decided not to amend immaterial misstatements, we have given assurance that we will address in readiness for the following year's statements of accounts. We accept and note the significant issue identified by Audit Wales and the two recommendations detailed in the Audit of Accounts report. Our management response has been provided to the recommendations within the Audit Wales report, and this can be found in Appendix 4 of the next agenda item. Plans are already in place to address the recommendations so that we are able to improve and strengthen the closure of accounts process and continue to develop, widen and share knowledge of the preparation of statements across the wider team. And also ensure time and space is allocated to enhance internal quality assurance of the statements before submitting the unaudited financial statements to Audit Wales for the 24-25 accounts. This will improve efficiency and effectiveness of the process in order to achieve earlier closure of accounts and presentation of audited financial statements to Council for approval. Integral to this improvement journey is providing appropriate capacity levels across the accountancy team. I am pleased to advise committee today that we have with us James Hopwood. James was successful in being recruited to the position of Deputy Section 51 within the local authority and commenced with us on the 21st of May. And James will lead the accountancy team and the delivery against the Audit Wales recommendations. Finally, Chair, if I may, I would like to thank our Audit Wales colleagues for the professional and constructive relationship that has been maintained throughout the audit process, and we look forward to continuing working closely with Alice and the wider team over the coming year and beyond. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Craig. That's really helpful to paint the picture of the process that's gone through to get to here, and the perfect storm, I guess, of staffing issues you've had, which has really impacted upon this. Just to place this committee's thanks on record as well. I mean, it's been a difficult job with people. A lot of corporate knowledge has been lost, and to replace that is no mean feat. And it's a journey which will continue, I guess, as we deal in with the 24-25 accounts as well. But as you said, Craig, so thanks to you, and you mentioned Emily and Louise as well, and the rest of the team. So please pass on the thanks to the committee as well, because it's really, really vital we get this over the line, and we have. So thank you for that. Before I hand over to Audit Wales, I can see one hand up. Colin Prosser, you want to come in? Oh, I see two. Councillor Barry's next, but and Colin Prosser first, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yes, I would also echo my thanks for the obviously the hard work that's gone into it, and I think the following report now from Audit Wales, although there are criticisms, that that I think there's the comment in there about that the impact not affecting on the general fund balances. So I think that's significant. I'm going to ask one question at I think it's around the 80s pages in the document. We talking about pensions and and issues with pensions, and what it doesn't mention is anything about the MacLeod remedy. So I think this is outsourced to Rhondda Cynnan Taff, I think, as I recall. But I was just wondering, could we have a comment on the liability or the potential liability there in the following statement of accounts, obviously not for this one, but for next year, because I think that probably is an issue that needs looking at. Thanks.
Craig.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. We're in constant dialogue with RCT as the administrator of the RCT pension fund to determine any liability. As soon as we have certainty around that, we'll be able to provide some further information, and happy to provide any information in update reports going forward, rather than being within the 24-25 statement of accounts.
Does that sound reasonable, Colin?
Well, say I just was looking for an assessment on their impact on our statement of accounts, and because obviously with this being historical, we can see the outcomes of forward planning from this statement of accounts, can't we? So I was thinking going forward, it was an opportunity to cover that. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, thank you. That's a fair point, and we'll make sure that's either included or we get a separate update as appropriate. Thank you, Councillor Barry.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's just to reiterate what Craig has said, really, and what Colin's alluded to there, in terms of the period that we're covering here and the tumultuous effort of having to cover, was it 2 151 officers in that period? So we lost the 151, we had an interim, then we lost pretty much the whole of the accounts team, which makes the result of an outturn of 3.092 all the more extraordinary, really, when you consider the sort of knowledge deficit that was taken from the team, and then to produce the set of accounts pretty much on time, knowing that the issues Audit Wales have historically had to sort of add to what the issues we've had is extraordinary. And just to note my thanks really to those who have gone and to those who are currently there, as I was the sort of the finance cabinet member through this period, and what a great job everybody has done to bring us to this point, really. So just to make a note of that, on record. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. That's a point well made. I know this committee has effectively dealt with 4 Section 155 officers, will be one act in the last 2 or 3 years. So it is that, together with the other changes, is quite significant. So the point is well made. If I turn now to Audit Wales, we're fortunate today to have in the room Alice King and Deborah Woods from Audit Wales. If I turn to Alice, I think in the first place, she can talk us through agenda item 6.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm here today to present to you our report for the year for 23-24. I have my colleague Deb Woods with me. If you haven't met her before, she is the financial audit lead for the council. Craig has somewhat stolen my thunder today, so I don't intend to take you through every line of our report and just highlight some key areas, albeit I am more than happy to take any questions of any of the details that we've got outlined in our report as well at the end. So the first area I'd like to highlight to members is materiality. So I will just get to the right page. So that is on page 159 of your report pack. So materiality is reported to you as part of our audit plan based on last year's figures, and then we update that for our final materiality once we have the draft accounts. So for the council this year, the materiality was set at 2.4 million, and we also set a reporting level, so a level, if any errors are above that we report to you, of £120,000. We also picked 2 areas of specific interest, that being senior officer, remuneration and related party transactions, and we set a lower materiality for those areas of £5,000 and £10,000 respectively, and that hasn't changed since the issue of our audit plan. So the headline, which again Craig's already mentioned, is that we have concluded our audit work, and we're pleased to say the Auditor General intends to issue an unqualified opinion for the 23-24 set of accounts, and which is really great news, and as kind of previously outlined was quite a difficult process for the audit this year. So I'd like to just draw your attention to the significant issue that we have put in detail on page 163. I won't go over that in much detail again because I think Craig summarised that very well. But we did issue in our plan a significant risk around the turnover of staff, and we did see the outcome of that in a high level of misstatements that needed correcting, and also that loss of corporate knowledge, which is so vital for pulling those sets of accounts together. I again would like to put on record, as others have said, the really commendable attitude of the staff that either remained or have since been appointed, and we have been able to build really constructive working relationships with all parties. And just to highlight now that we intend to continue that over the next few months, we in fact met James and Craig before this meeting to discuss running a workshop with the council in July, which will look to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the audit for the next year, and we're really committed to working collaboratively with the council in that respect. I don't intend to take you through all of the misstatements, either uncorrected or corrected, that are in our appendix, but we'll take questions if you have any. And just to say that, we really pass on our thanks to Craig's team for the efforts that they put in, and we look forward to working with them in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. That's really helpful. Any questions for Alice on the Audit Wales report? For me, obviously the 2 recommendations at the bottom of the report are really important, and in there we can see the officers' responses to those as well. We're on page late 170s, page 180 and onwards. Obviously the focus turns almost immediately now into the 24-25 set of accounts and make sure that these managed responses are actioned. So I have a conversation with Craig about sort of hopefully having update reports to this committee, just so we know that where we are in terms of managing the 24-25 process, because there's lots of lessons to learn, and the development of the team still continues, as Craig has alluded to, with the addition of James Hopwood. By the way, welcome. I should have welcomed you at the beginning of the meeting. Apologies. So for that respect, that was the most important thing for me, is make sure we continue to learn and we continue to move forward. If the committee's happy with that, we'll agree to get a regular update to this committee in terms of how we're managing the accounts process, and Craig, I'm sure, will keep us posted on how the accounts move forward. I don't know anything else specifically for you, Alice, except to say, again, just as Craig has said, to say thank you to the way this has been developed. There's a phrase in here which I'm just furiously trying to find as I scroll through the paper, and I can't find it now. It says, during the audit process, the efforts and positive attitude of the remaining and newly appointed staff was commendable. And I think that's a two-way street, and I think Craig alluded to it as well. So thanks to you and your team as well for getting us over the line, albeit it's not winning the race by any stretch, but we got there in the end, and that's the most important thing. I'm very happy to look at you for the last questions. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
There's a system here.
Not a question.
Yeah,
sure. Just
Sure.
a comment, really. And it's great to be reassured by Alice and Deb, and the work they've done in support of our officers at the council, and to show that the accounts are in a good state, and for the people of Merthyr Tydfil, it shows the Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council is being run correctly and properly. So I welcome that unqualified recommendation. So thank you very much.
Really important point, Garrett, that we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that whilst timing of getting this over the line has been an issue, the detail, as you said, an unqualified opinion is not sort of is a positive, very positive thing, and other councillors I'm sure will be very envious of having that. Thank you for that. It was a helpful reminder. Next steps are that we are to recommend this to full council, which will meet on the 11th of June to formally approve, and then it'll get signed by the Auditor General for Wales, and then get laid at the Senedd. We, however, need to formally recommend them to the full council. Are we happy to do so? I look around the room and I see lots of nods online and in the room. Terrific. Okay, thank you, everybody. That's a really, really helpful closing of the 23-24 door, and the 24-25 door, of course, continues. That's the nature of accounts, I'm afraid. Let's move on to agenda item 7, which is the annual corporate risk report. A really helpful report, I thought, which doesn't talk about the risks, but more talks about the process of collating corporate risks. And I'll turn to Andrew Mogford at the end of my table. Andrew.
Okay, I'm going to pass over to my new cabinet member who's going to take this item first, please, Chair.
I'm sorry. And then, by a matter of wearing two hats at this point.
Sorry, Chair.
Committee member Councillor Douglas Salmon is also going to take this item.
Okay, I just put a little bit together. The purpose of this report is to provide the annual update on corporate risk for 2024-25. Although I'm sure everyone will be aware that those risks have been reported at each quarter to this committee, so this report is a culmination of those previous reports. The corporate risk register contained 13 corporate risks during 2024-25, and in that time 10 of those risks remained at the same level, 3 of those risks decreased and 0 increasing in risk. As we've just finished Q1, it is still to be confirmed what exactly will be on the corporate risk register going forward, but it's very likely that the remaining risks will still be on there, but more could be added. Internal audit made 3 recommendations, and you'll see from the report that 2 of these have been completed, with a 3rd in progress, with completion scheduled for this month, I believe. The report also gives an update on the 9 actions from the annual report for last year. 5 have been completed, 4 are in progress, and these are reviewing our service operational risk registers. It's due to be completed again this month. Reviewing our reviewing our training provision to ensure it is fit for purpose. I think my thunder's been stolen by Alice here, because as mentioned in the minutes of the last meeting, there's going to be a workshop later this year, including deep dives into corporate risks, and as Alice confirmed, this is going to be in for July. 2 other which are in progress, and I'm going to ask Andrew to come in after I finished, and these will be for revisiting our risk dashboard and analysis tools, and also automating and or integrating processes where possible. Just to finish off, and with my scrutiny head on, I'm just wondering if it'd be possible when this comes back to scrutiny and maybe full council in future, if the actual list of the corporate risk register would be on there, because sometimes it's a little bit difficult maybe if people are reading it and it's just got CRR1 and CRR10 and stuff like that. Thank you very much, Chair. I'll pass over to Andrew, maybe you can...
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Salmon. No, I'll pass over to Andrew Mogford.
Thank you, members, and thank you, Chair. Just to elaborate on a couple of those points there, the dashboard and automation is something we are looking at, so as we can streamline our processes and add more value. At the minute, we are reliant on working with members and officers. Once we have a dashboard, the information will be far more available and far more readable, etc. This is something we had previously, and now we're looking to revamp that over the next couple of months, and hopefully bring things to this committee and inform scrutiny, cabinet and council as we do so. And yes, to answer your question around the list of corporate risks, yes, we can add that as an appendix to all reports going forward, so that people are fully aware as to what the codes stand for.
Thank you, Councillor Salmon. Thank you, Andrew. Really, really helpful report. I fully endorse Councillor Salmon's point about making sure the risks are in here, because that just ties it all together. And what I'd suggest is that when you next bring the quarterly update of the risks to this committee, you give us a brief update on the items in here, which are from internal audit, and the four that are green in progress and next steps. You can give us a quick update on what those are as well. We can sort of make sure we don't lose sight of that as well. Any questions for Andrew on the paper? Okay, I think that's an indication it's a good quality report that really gives us assurance in terms of the process behind the risks. It's one thing that Andrew did remind me earlier is that what's the council has now done, Andrew has done, is made sure that the corporate risk register is kind of divided up and the relevant bits go to the relevant scrutiny committees. So scrutiny committees have a role in terms of managing and overseeing those risks as well, and that's a very positive step as well. Make sure that all the risks are, because our role as a governance audit committee is to make sure the governance it works. There's a process. Actual management of the individual risk sits in the scrutiny committees where it should do, and I think that's really helpful to understand that all the things connect together. So that's really positive. Thank you, Andrew. That report is first to note, and we do so. I don't see any hands up. So we'll go on to reflections and evaluation. The only thing to say is thank you for endorsing me as another year as chair here. I'm sure you'll get sick of me soon. But until then, thank you from myself and from Colin, I'm sure. The AGM has now sat, so there is now a date of future meetings, and I'm sure Democratic Services in due course will email all those out to us. We've got them in our diaries going forward. Agenda item 9, slightly bizarrely, says timing of future meetings. I don't know if anyone said, do we need to change the times of meetings? Mondays at 2 o'clock seems to be the way it's been for the longest time. And I don't see any reason to change unless anyone says anything otherwise. And I don't see anybody waving. Or I do see somebody waving.
Sorry, Chair. It's not something that I bring up here, but I would be bringing up with maybe my meetings could be changed, because it's I'm going to have to, if this meeting goes on longer in future, then I would have to be leaving, and we don't really want that if I'm going to be questioned by members. So it's maybe something I need to look at as part of my work program with CLT and CMT.
Okay, well,
like
by all means, and if we need to come back and revisit...
But I just thought I'd let you know.
Yeah, if we need to come back and revisit, of course we will. Yeah. Okay, that's helpful to understand. Okay, thank you. Councillor Smith.
On these meetings, what about the pre-meeting? Because I turned up to the pre-meeting this afternoon, and I was notified members don't turn up to the pre-meeting.
Yeah.
So can we clarify that issue, please?
Yeah, Councillor, that's a really helpful point. As we discussed, we've got a training session which will be scheduled to hopefully land this side of the summer recesses, so hopefully in the next month or so. And we'll have a conversation then about the need for all councillors to be there, to have what the nature of that should be. It's traditionally been a briefing session from myself and the Vice Chair, but we can certainly look at what the role is and what the sort of who needs to be involved in those meetings to make sure we have the best value there, and so effectively this committee works as well as it can. So I'm open to suggestions. We can absolutely take that conversation offline and have that conversation. I'm not against it, absolutely. Okay, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. That's it. I don't have dates and times of future meetings, except to say they were all agreed at the AGM and they'll be sent out in due course. Agenda item 10 is any other business deemed urgent, and there's no other business. No. Okay, excellent. Short and to the point, a focused meeting, which is always good, and a really positive one, and we are moving forward. So thank you, everyone, and I declare the meeting closed. Thank you. Bye.